again to another of the Sunday Socials. This episode, we are very pleased to be able to bring you an event from the Cheshire County Courthouse, the traditional, original courthouse. And to go with this original building, we have the traditional, original, and truly wonderful music of Hunt and Allison Smith.
Thank you very much. That was a set of Irish jigs that date back from the early part of the 20th century, and a couple of the tunes are associated with the Easter uprising of 1916. But those Irish know how to make joy in their music out of any kind of circumstance. And let's play a set of two tunes that are much more contemporary. The first tune was written by Hunt Smith and is called Mr. Fezziwig's Ball, and the second tune is written by the late, great, very much missed Bob McQuillan and is called Dancing Bear. Hunt will take us on. Contra dance, and we're playing Contra dance tunes. Do any of you know what Jen knows, but who knows what a Contra dance actually is? Hooray, hooray, okay. A Contra dance is traditional New England set dancing, or the Contra dancers would say, that's not a set dance. We can get into the nitty-gritty. But New England has an old-time music tradition.
Just a minute, Allison. Contra dancing is square dancing for people who listen to NPR.
That is definitely how Contra dancing has evolved in this country. But it was originally the dancing that was done in the barns and the kitchens and the town halls. Hunt and I live in Nelson, where the Nelson Town Hall has been holding Contra dances since it existed. And Nelson is actually in the Guinness Book of World Records as having the longest unbroken tradition of traditional dance in North America, or in the United States, of this type of dancing. But there was Contra dancing. They didn't always call it Contra. In fact, our friend Dudley Lothman, who is one of the people attributed with keeping it alive over the decades when it wasn't really cool to do the old stuff, he says that right about the late 50s, early 60s, people had been calling them square dances. Sort of not the same as modern Western squares like they were doing out in the streets a couple days ago, but just people standing in the same formation as modern Western squares, but without as many rules. And then there came a time when people didn't, the young people especially, they didn't want to do something that was called square. And traditionally, you'd come to the dance, and there'd be line dances, the partner dances in long lines, partner dances in squares, partner dances in circles. And the long line ones were called Contras, and the square ones were called squares. So they
But
just
Allison,
started
none
calling
of
them
this
Contras.
explains who the gentleman to your left is.
I was going to do that next. And my point was that the tradition is alive and well and thriving. And so we've got the two of us with our gray hair playing the old stuff, and our wonderful young friend Matt Garland, who is continuing the tradition, and he will be one of the people carrying it well into the time when we're not able to be doing this anymore. What shall we play, Hunt? Let's pick another tune, and then if another two people walked in this room, we could try a dance. Or
we could
even
play,
those people down there.
We could play Indian Point and Old Gray Cat.
We could play Indian Point and Old Gray Cat. Indian
Two.
Point is a newer dance, and Old Gray Cat, I believe, is an older dance.
Yeah,
I think it's a traditional dance.
I think it is.
One is a jig and one is a reel, and maybe you should tell them what a jig is.
Well, a jig is, I'm sure, for those of you who are musically proficient, unlike me, will know that a jig is in 6/8 time. A fraction of it hasn't been reduced as far as I can see, but what a jig really is something that sounds like this. Da 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 Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, jiggity jiggity all. So if you can say jiggity 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 to it, it's a jig. And if you can't, it's probably a reel. And you'll hear in these two tunes, you hear one change to the other. You can still tap your foot at the same speed, but there's two different flavors of stuff happening. So let's see, well, okay. Go ahead.
about the recorder, it looks so tiny.
The
Oh,
tiny little recorder. Would you
This
tell us
is,
about that?
Actually, it's an Irish tin whistle. This particular one is made by a company called Clark that's been in business since the 1800s. It's just a traditional instrument for, you know, Irish sessions that you'd find in an Irish pub.
Can you play it a little bit so we can
Yeah,
hear it?
play us a
sure,
tune.
sure.
Isn't that a sweet
It's just
instrument?
a simple little,
They used to be called
Sounds
penny
nice.
whistles, but they cost more now.
yeah,
But-
that's true.
Yes,
Can I request something?
if we know it.
Turkey in the straw?
Turkey in the straw.
We don't know it.
That's actually, you know, we have a fairly limited repertoire because we play New England music mostly.
Well,
Oh.
that is New England.
That was it was definitely very popular before our time of playing this music.
Grand Ole Opry
It was-
was pretty popular.
Yeah, it was, no, but in the New England, like the dances, Ralph Page's dances, did you ever dance with Ralph Page? I'm sorry, huh? I have heard that Turkey in the Straw was one of the popular tunes
Yeah.
about the middle of the 20th century at the dances like in Francistown.
Darling Nellie Gray.
Where?
Darling Nellie Gray.
Darling Nellie Gray is one that Dudley does. Do you
Yeah.
know? Where did you dance?
Oh, Surrey Town Hall, Richmond Town Hall.
And who were the callers?
And Nelson. What
did.
did you say?
Who would have been the callers? Was
Oh,
Ralph Page?
Yes, Ralph Page.
Ralph
Yep.
Page. Dick Richardson, did he play? Probably. Dick Richardson was probably playing. We have actually an older repertoire for the most part. It's either the older stuff or the newest stuff that's been composed in the last 15, 20 years. We should have that repertoire, and we've talked about it. Did you ever dance Oh Johnny Oh?
No?
Oh, because that was one, someone from Chesterfield called me up one day out of the blue. He'd seen that we were playing, and he just wanted to talk about the old dances. And you know, we invited him over, and we invited him to one of our jams, and he never showed up. And he told me his favorite one was Oh Johnny Oh. And I actually learned that, although I couldn't get my musicians to learn it with me. But I'm sorry, you're right. You are absolutely right. And there was a pocket of time in the middle of the 20th century when those tunes were the popular tunes. Dudley Loftman still does Darling Nellie Gray because he did that at our wedding. But we've only been playing this repertoire for about the last 10 years. So I'm sorry.
I'm too old.
No, you're just the right age. In fact, you're a piece of this history. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
To
Definitely,
meet you.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick a tune.
I'm trying to think of one that might have been known.
Yeah.
Road to Boston.
I was going to suggest Rollstone Mountain.
Rollstone Mountain, oh yeah.
This is
yeah.
a tune by Ralph Page. And Rollstone Mountain broods over Lake Nubanuset. It's actually about 684 feet high. It's not really technically a mountain. 364. Did you ever hear that one? Does it ring a bell?
Yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, it's funny, when he wrote a tune, there's pieces of other tunes in there, you can hear them, and
Play us a little bit of McQuillan's Squeezebox.
Um,
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, it's in C.
It's in C. Oh,
well, how about
the thing about whistles is that they're tuned to a particular key. Well, Ralph Page was from Munsonville, and he was the one who kept the Contra dancing alive in that middle period of the century, when the automobile had taken the young folks out of the farm, off the farm and out of the hill towns and into the cities. He traveled around, and his dances were in demand. And at that same time, if you can believe it, Henry Ford was promoting square dancing. When he saw what he had done, he was very upset. He thought the family would be broken up, the traditional ways needed to be maintained, and he supported square dancing. And so he and Ralph Page were along a similar trajectory that kept the traditions alive. So thank goodness for that. So what was your suggestion for a tune?
I was thinking that we could play a little Appalachian stuff
Oh,
and play Shoes and Stockings,
and then the other two?
and then
Shoes and Stockings, Sandy Boys, and
I know the first two. I can probably find them.
and these are when Allison and I met. I lived in Western North Carolina,
Okay.
and we play traditional New England music. But this is one of the things we do that is where the fiddling is done in an Appalachian way, which is different. When Allison first came to visit me in North Carolina, she heard all the crickets and whatnot at night, and she said, "Oh,
all
now I
the different
understand
accents.
why the fiddling sounds the way it does here." I'd like to hear just a. So the first tune is called Shoes and Stockings. Comes from West Virginia. And second tune called Sandy Boys, which is about the big Sandy River that separates Kentucky from West Virginia. And you've heard about the famous feud between the Hatfields and the McCoys. Well, the Hatfields were on one side of the big Sandy and the McCoys on the other. And there was an argument. One of the things they argued about was who came up with this tune. Was it a Kentucky tune or a West Virginia tune? And the last tune is called The Growling Old Man and the Grumbling Old Woman.
And you can actually hear them in the melody.
Hear them talking.
And the first tune is in D, I believe?
It's in G.
G, that's what I was confused.
And then comes A minor and then A
Yeah.
minor.
And you're starting. people here. We're Hunt and Allison Smith and our friend Matt Garland, and this was advertised as a Contra dance. And we are happy to sit here and play Contra dance music, but we're also, I'm armed and ready to get up and dance with you and teach you some very simple, straightforward dances. Nothing athletic, nothing energetic. This rug is actually an issue. We need to be careful on it. Jen very intelligently took her shoes off so she wouldn't get her feet caught. So if anyone's interested, we could do some dances, or we could play some more and then maybe dance later, take a break at some point. I don't know where Kevin went, but was there going to be some talking about the building?
People are very
Yes,
energetic
when you're
looking
ready to
people.
break.
Okay, not yet, not yet. What did you say? What?
Very energetic looking people. Just get people up and dance.
Yes.
You want to dance? So these are traditional partner dances. Matthew, you may have my seat.
I don't think I can.
And we're going to start very
I'll
simple.
wait to see if it passes.
Matthew can play all of these instruments, so
Not that one.
Not
Allison and I could go out for coffee right now. You know?
Yeah, Matt can play them all.
You can play them all at once.
So I've enhanced my sound. Let's start. You need a partner, and it's in Contra dance traditionally you ask anybody, you don't need to know anybody, and Contra dancing is very welcoming, very open, and just stand in a circle. Stand, be brave, be bold, come stand in a circle. Don't be scared. If you can walk, you can dance. No, Jen says no. Lori, and okay, we have one more dancer coming up, so she needs a partner. Okay. Lori's all dressed and ready to dance.
Yeah. Sounds like someone who knows what she's doing. This is good.
You've been to, you've
I was
danced
just
with-
at one last night.
Excellent, wonderful. And Jen's been a long-time dancer, so.
Yeah, I think I've seen you in.
That's right. So this dance is going to deviate slightly from the rest of them in that I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to the music. We'll want to keep the beat to the music, but we're not going to follow the changes of phrases and things because I'm going to teach as we go. The simple thing to remember is that you're safe here and that all you need to do is be able to walk at all in any way. So
You're
we're
in
going
a
to
courthouse after all.
and you have to know who your partner is, because I will ask you to face your partner sometimes, and then I might ask you to not face your partner at other times. And for now, I'll dance with you. Join hands. And Mari's,
You'll tell us when to change. We're going to play just one tune.
Mari's in Road, at least.
And you'll tell us when.
I will, if I don't remember, feel free. I may be busy.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
Okay.
to your left and walk around to your left. Just get used to the feeling of being in this group of people. Don't be afraid to look at them and smile. And the other way. Just turn the other way. Now face the middle. We're just going to go in about 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. And back. And in. Sicilian circle, which is what I was trying to do. We're now going to morph into an actual Contra dance. So thank you, partner. And if you would like to keep this partner, you are most welcome to do so. On Monday nights in Nelson, right now there's a whole lot of running around and shuffling and finding another partner and getting in line for the next dance. So it's entirely up to you, but I'm now going to give you a little geography. Looks like most of you have done something like this before, so forgive me if I'm repeating, but I'm going to tell you. The next tune, we had no power this morning, so I was not able to print out our list, so I have to check. The next tune will be the Smash set. No, Tolman's Jig and Maggie's Great Adventure. Okay, so little geography. This is the band, and this is the top of the set. That's No Man's Land, that's the bottom of the set. Find a partner, or your partner. Are you keeping your partners? Everyone keeping their partners? Okay, so let's have you two stand right up here, facing each other. And we're going to make two lines, one on one side, one on the other. So you face your partner. And we have a mostly mono-genderish, with one exception, group. So in contemporary parlance, that would be called gender-free Contra, where it doesn't matter if you have a partner of the opposite gender or not, or any gender at all. So we're going to just call this line the ones and the twos. That can get confusing. And so, no, because we're going to have the actives and the inactives. Aha. So, remember those hands four you did? Hands four with the people directly below you. Now, face your neighbor. Keep holding hands. So if your back is to the band, yeah, actually that's right. If your back is to the band, you're ones. I'm thinking on my feet. If you're facing the band, you are twos. The ones are going to move on, leave this hands four eventually onto the next, and work their way down the set. The twos are going to work their way up the set. You'll be tossed out of the set for one turn, and only four of you will get to dance for one go around, and then you'll come back in the new incarnation. If you were a one, you'll be a two. If you were a two, I know, if you're an inexperienced dancer, just flow with it. It will make so much sense, and we'll make sure you get to figure out how it works as we go along. So, this is a Contra dance called Family Contra. All of the Contra dances today are introducing people to Contra dance. So they should be fairly limited in their challenges. The first thing that you're going to do in this dance is called a balance the ring. So with your hands forward, you're going to step in and out, and in and out, and circle one time around and end up back in this spot. Go. And it should take you about 8 counts to get there. And if it takes a little bit, you can move in a little bit and have a tight little circle. And yeah, if it's a small enough circle, it will take you 8 counts. And I just ask people at the top to be aware of the equipment and stuff. And once again, you balance in and out and in and circle right. Tight little circle to the right. 2, 3, 4, and this will be about the tempo of the dance. And when you get home. And it's a very forgiving dance. If you take longer than the music to get there, don't push yourself. Get there. In the tradition of Contra dancing, the people with you will accommodate and wait for you and be ready to do the next thing in the time that it takes, and we'll all have a good time. Drop hands, face your neighbor, do-sa-do your neighbor. Face your partner, do-sa-do. Or neighbor. Take just your partner's hand, inside hands with your partner. You're going to do something that's called a double do-sa-do. The two of you are going to do-sa-do with the people you're facing. One time around, and then half again. So go all the way around and then halfway around, so you're back to back with your neighbors, and tra-la. The inside people are facing their new hands forward. The outside people have just been given a short break, but it is, But you shouldn't look at the band, as handsome as they are. You should turn around and watch the people in front of you, because the inactives, the twos, who were facing up, are now facing down, which means they're going to be ones. The people at the bottom were ones, they're now going to be twos. In this dance, it doesn't make a bit of difference. There are dances where the ones and the twos have different roles and different things they do. Well, so I'll just say that the next, let's just pretend you just did the balance the ring, blah, 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 and then just do the double do-si-do halfway around. The very end, and ta-da! New hands for,
Halfway.
new hands for, and you will be back in the dance. Got that? So, and so then, after you completed that double do-si-do, they will go out, but you'll still be in the dance. And you'll progress down. So go back to your original spot where you started this dance. Family Contra. I will tell you when to change it. Probably about 3 times through for each. 3 and 3. Probably, but don't hold your breath. Join hands and balance the ring. In and out again. In and circle left. Maybe like 4 and 4. And balance when you're ready. And circle right. And face your neighbor. Do-si-do your neighbor. And your partner do-si-do. Face your neighbor. Double do-si-do. Keep going. Keep going. Move hands forward and balance. And circle left. We'll watch it now. And balance. Circle right. Neighbor do-si-do. Partner do-si-do. Double do-si-do. And progress on to the next. Hands forward. Wait for it. Wait for it. Circle left. And balance in and out. And circle right. Face your neighbor, do-si-do. Partner do-si-do. Double do-si-do. And on to the next. Balance in and out. And in and circle left. In and out. And in and circle right. Neighbor do-si-do. Partner do-si-do. Double do-si-do. Keep going. Hands forward in. Circle.
That way. That way,
And
sorry.
in, and out, and in, and circle back. End up in the place where you started this time. Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, do-si-do. Double do-si-do.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sure. We hold hands, I think we hold hands. Might make it easier. Guess we'll get to watch.
And in, and out.
Okay, yeah. Oh, no, we're here. Oh, okay. We're watching. Right?
And balance in and out, and out, and circle back. Neighbor, partner, double. Keep going. And in. thinking we could do at least one more dance before a break. And I'm trying to decide between another Contra. Yes, I think we'll do another Contra. And then after the break, we might do a square dance. Might be fun. So let's do the Irish jig set that we just did before, the Smash the Windows set, because that goes well with it. Or 2-2 and whatever, depends on where they're at.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because we actually need multiples of 4. Yeah, 3, 3, and 3 probably. We need multiples of 4. So you can keep this formation if you want, because it's a Contra. Just catch your breath for a minute. And this is a dance by Bob Dulcimer. Yes, it is. There it is, called Monterey Detour. And the names have meaning to the person who wrote the dance, usually. And sometimes they write it for a dance community. Bob Dulcimer lives near Brasstown, North Carolina, and just recently retired as the music director of the John C. Campbell Folk School. And he's a name, and older time dancers often will say, oh yes, I danced with him in Baltimore, or something like that. So, always start by making a hands 4 with the people below you. If you're facing down your 1s, if you're facing up your 2s, drop hands. Different formation. The 1s are going to step in between the 2s. In that case back there, I would ask the 2s to step outside on either side of the 1s for reasons which you will discover. So that the 1s are in between the 2s and you make a line. That's right. Except so everyone face down.
Oh.
And everyone take 2 giant steps backwards because we've got a camera in the way. It was the camera that made me. So you're going to take tiny steps. You're going to join hands. And the figure is called down the hall 4 in line. Okay? So you're going to take 8 steps down the hall. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It won't be that fast. Stop. Drop hands. Turn around in place. Take your time. We're going to slow down. Ready, go. Back, you go. And then the outside people join hands with your partner. Out, and we'll make a circle. Don't do it right now. You'll circle left, and then you'll circle right, just as we did in the last dance. So pretend you did that, right? What you'll find is, when you're doing a new dance, the music helps. There are some things that'll be the same and it can confuse you. Wait a minute, didn't we just neighbor do-si-do and then I'm supposed to, no, this is a new dance. Be aware of the music. It will guide you to know, you'll get into the rhythm of it. And I might even be able to back off calling. If I don't give you directions, it doesn't mean don't do it. Go ahead and do it, and I probably will start dropping hints, but give you fewer spelling it out. You'll be fine. So, face your neighbor and think to myself, this is my spot. Do-si-do your neighbor. And then you've got about 7 counts, 8 counts, depending, to swing your neighbor and end up back in this spot. Swing your neighbor.
Can you show us the ways to swing neighbor? Because there are lots of different ways to do it.
I think this gentleman can help you swing. So the traditional New England contra is ballroom position, and you use your inside foot to sort of pivot you around. Okay? So, or if you accommodate each other, you might just decide that a little 2-hand turn, or hands on each other's shoulders, or in 5th grade, we did a residency and they liked doing an elbow swing and we taught them to give equal weight so that it wasn't swing your partner around and around, throw your partner on the ground. So, but the traditional New England, you go to a contra dance now and a swing is in ballroom position, inside feet are pivoting. Okay? So, we'll take the swing as having accomplished. You end up in your spot. Remember the spot where you said, this is my spot, that spot. Face your partner, but join hands with the people on either side of you, not your partner. The direction is long lines forward and back. You'll go forward 2, 3, 4, back 2, 3, 4. Nope, just once. And then, do you remember your number? If you were facing, if you had your back to the band, you were ones. That's the top couple and the third couple. They only swing each other. So ones swing.
Oh, we switched because we started. Wow.
Yes, you're progressed.
Okay.
And you will face your new neighbors. And so you just, in a small line like this, you end facing your new neighbor, and it starts with one step between the new twos. The one step between their new twos.
So we're one.
You're,
Wait a minute.
did you progress?
We're two. You're one.
Go back to your original spot that you started.
Like 10 minutes ago, or?
At the very beginning of this dance.
Okay, this
You didn't progress. How did you not progress? Neighbor, do-sa-do, and swing. Remember, join hands with the version. Bend your line to the... Ah, this is where you started, isn't it? This is Bob Dulcimer's dance. Okay, one step between the twos down the hall. Drop hands, turn in place. Join hands, walk up the set, bend the lines with a circle. We're going to, I know what we're going to do. We're going to circle one way, halfway. Okay? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lose this dance until I study it more. I'm going to lose this dance. Yeah, I'm going to go back to one that I know. Can we skip to Rollstone Mountain, since we had that famous moment talking about Rollstone Mountain, and do the Rollstone Mountain dance? Hands four. This is it. Hands four, yeah, with this group. Think who's ones, who's twos.
Now you're ones or twos?
I have no
If
idea.
your back is to the music
Yeah.
right
So
now,
that'll be one?
if your back is to the music,
Tell where we were.
Okay.
ah, so you were progressed, but
We
they
were
were
progressed.
progressed.
Yeah.
So the dance,
We were progressed.
oh, thanks.
No, we were.
I thought,
We started out as ones.
so you were still ones. I got it.
They're
We're-
ones now that we're twos.
We had progressed.
Whenever
Yeah, you
forget
had
what you wrote,
progressed.
you know.
Never mind.
I think I-
It's fine. Stay with this dance. Circle to your left for 8 counts. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the other way back. It doesn't matter if you're not all the way around on this one. Now, if I said right hand star, what would I see? Reach your right hand in. That's perfect. And that means you're going to be circling to your left around the circle. Go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the other way back. And again, it doesn't matter. You don't have to get all the way around. Neighbor, do-sa-do. There's some figures that are familiar. Neighbor, partner, you'll have time for a short swing. Very short swing for 7 or 8 counts. Face your neighbors, hold your inside hand with your partner. Only your partner. If you're facing down, you are ones. Always face in this dance. Ones make an arch. Now listen closely, don't go yet. I'm going to give you a step-by-step, play-by-play directions. Oh, please follow only in exactly the directions as they are given. Both the ones and the twos move so that the ones go under the arch as the twos go under the arch as the ones move forward. Go and stop as soon as you've done it. Twos make an arch. All the twos. No, you're still twos. You're still facing up. You're still twos. Twos and the same ones back up so that the ones go under the same twos who just went under them. This is going to result in overs and unders. Ones make an arch. Same ones make an arch. And now we're progressed. Nope, stop. Stop. You're anticipating. At this point, the ones at the bottom are going to turn around and wait out a turn. You will now be twos the next time you dance. The twos at the top will turn around. You will soon be ones, but you're out this turn. And then the people in the middle will still be same. The ones are still ones, the twos are still twos, and that's what happens. Go back to your original 4. We'll take this slowly. This is actually very easy. You can do this. Join hands in a circle. Roll Stone Mountain, only roll Stone Mountain, a bunch of times through. about that, yeah, nice and steady. To your left, 1, 2, 3, and okay, stop. Sorry, the music wasn't ready.
Okay.
Make sure you're in the spot where you started.
Yep.
Ready?
Go. 1, 2. And the other way back. Right hand star. Left hand back. Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, really quick swing, one time around. Arches, one's up, two's under. Two's up, back up, under ones. One's up, two's under. Circle to your left. And the other way back. Right hand star. Left hand back. Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, swing one time around. Arches, one's up, two's under. Two's up, one's under. One's up, two's under. And on to the next, circle left. And the other way back. Right hand star. Left hand back. Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, swing one time around. One's up, new one's at the top. Arch up. Two's under. Sorry, one's up. And on to the next, circle left. And the other way back. Right hand star. Left hand back. Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, swing one time around. One's up, two's under. Two's up, one's under. One's up, two's under. On to the next, circle left. And the other way back. Right hand star. Left hand back.
Grab onto the wrist and it's easier.
Neighbor, do-si-do. Partner, swing. One space down, two's up, and arch. Two's arch, one's under. One's arch, two's under. On to the next. Circle left. Right hand star. Left hand back. Neighbor. Partner. One space down, two space up, arches. On to the next, circle left. Neighbor, do-si-do.
Look it up, neighbor.
Partner, swing.
Somebody. Not him.
Arches.
We're supposed to be down here. Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah, but we're supposed to be down here.
Nice job.
My name is Stillman Rogers. I served as clerk of Superior Court for 23 years, from 1978 until 2001. I started my career as clerk in this building when the building next door, the 1978 building, was just a bunch of concrete and steel framework. So I was intimately familiar with this building. This building was built in 1858 by Ridley James Fox Bryant. He was an architect in Boston. He was mid-career in 1858. He was also involved in another project in 1858, which was the Old Boston City Hall construction. He is the son of Ridley Bryant, who was a very famous and inventive engineer slash architect who lived in Boston and who built one of the very first railroads in the United States called the Granite Railroad, which ran somewhere in the Boston vicinity. And in the process of doing that, Ridley invented most of the mechanisms used in railroading, including how many wheels on a rail car and various pieces of equipment that are used in railroads. So Ridley James Fox Bryant, that doesn't ring lightly on the tongue, came from a very well-known story. Ridley, the man who built this building, or designed this building, was very well known. As I say, he designed the old Boston City Hall and then went on to design many other structures before he passed away in 1891. So he was a major architect. This building, if you go to that side of the building and look down, you see these large windows, and then there's a sort of a break, and then the windows become double windows. We can take you down that way. But where the large windows end is where the 1858 building ended. So it's basically a big square building. On the first floor, there was an office for the commissioners, which is directly below that space on that side. And then there were some other functions below that. The clerk's office, clerk of Superior Court's office, was on the first floor, below that side of the building. And I'll take you in to see that space. And there were other court spaces, like the Registry of Deeds was on that side. Probate court was in the back part on that side, on the first floor. But I'll walk you past that later. This space here, that you're in right now, is the historic courtroom part of the building. It opened in 1859, and the original configuration, there was a double door, right where that Cheshire County flag is hanging. Two large ornate doors, on the front of which there was a little sign that said Superior Court. Entrance to the courtroom was from Court Street, up the granite stairs, through the door, and then up a stairway that met in front of this on a little balcony. There were two spaces, one on either side of that landing. And when I first started practicing law in 1968, they belonged to the Sheriff's Department. And those two little rooms were the sum total of the Sheriff's Department for Cheshire County. One famous incident did take place in that room, in there, which is unfortunately locked today. There was a trial of an individual for, I think, a burglary or something like that. And there was a rather flamboyant lawyer from Dover whose name was Alfred Catalfo. I don't know if any of you know Alfred. But he had come to try a case here, and the sheriff had allowed him and his client to go into that room to converse privately. And after they were in there for about 10 minutes, Alfie came out of the room with his, pulling his hair and saying, "My client had just escaped from the window." And his client had made off down the window. One of the very first major trials that I did in this courtroom was a first-degree murder trial. And some of you may remember there was the very unfortunate case of a young man who was shot at a Sunoco station on the Lower Main Street. The name of the accused was Charles Radzowitz. We tried that case in this courtroom. It was rather well packed by the public. There was a balcony up here that extended from that wall all the way to that wall, and it sat right here. The judge's bench was right below that exit sign, and directly in front of it was the clerk's bench. The witness stand was right over there, and if you look carefully at that wall, you see a sort of a patch there. That was the location of the door into the judge's chamber. The witness's box was just to the right of that, and along this wall in 2 tiers was the jury box. On that side, there was again 2 tiers, and that's where the public sat in addition to the balcony. And the public sat in benches. And you see these spindle benches along the side here. There's some in the room down here, there's another one over there. They're actually scattered throughout this building. Those are the original benches that were in this room from 1858. And every trial took place in Cheshire County that had members of the jury or members of the public present. Those chairs were where they sat, those benches, for that entire period of time, for 121 years. This bench here is not from this original courtroom, these 2 pieces here, but they are historic. Back around in the 80s, I, as clerk, thought it was appropriate that we have a special courtroom for the hearing of domestic relations cases, divorce cases, because it's particularly important to people and important for their lives. At that point, we had been meeting in other small rooms that were undistinguished and didn't meet the sort of prestige that is required to have people have some respect for the law. So I spoke with county officials, and in what had been the old clerk's office on the first floor, we created a marital courtroom, a domestic relations courtroom, which had its own courtroom, its own master, room for a judge, and space for the staff. And that worked very well until the unification of the courts brought forth the new courthouse, what we call the new courthouse, which is directly behind this one. These benches came from the Hillsborough County Superior Court in Nashua, which was torn down sometime in the 60s at the time of the creation of the new Superior Court building in Manchester. This particular bench, the long one, was a bench that was the bench, the place where the clerk of Superior Court for Hillsborough County sat, and the one next to it was the witness box for that courthouse. So it's appropriate that they're still used in functions and governmental functions. What do I tell you about this? This is about the size of the original courtroom. There were a little more space here because this jog did not exist in the original structure. Neither did that slanted space on either side. So you can envision this space. There was some public seating along the back, but not much. There was a bailiff's bench over here, which was roughly like this one. And jury was over there. But there was a series of like posts with a bar across it that defined the area of the space that was related for the court to use. Right about here is where the defense table was, and directly above was a large iron grid. And it was well known and legend among trial lawyers in Cheshire County that when you defended a case, you had to be prepared to be showered, because directly over that grid was the bell of this building, which I'll show you down the hall. And that bell had not been used for decades and had become encrusted with pigeon manure. And as you sat here as defense counsel, peering over your papers or listening to witnesses, you would find periodically little things hit your head. You brush it off, and you know what it was.
Isn't that great good luck?
So by the time this building got renovated, it really certainly needed it. I can take you down the hall now and show you some of the spaces. There's some space downstairs. You may want to use the elevators. We'll probably take, some of you can use the stairs. Anybody else who doesn't want to use the stairs, there is an elevator. We'll be downstairs. I can't take you into the new building because those spaces are secure spaces now being used by the county attorney and by the sheriff's office. But I will tell you what they were. As you come in that Winter Street entrance, up those little stairs to the front lobby, the space directly in front of you was the clerk's office from 1979, actually January of 1980 is when we occupied it. That was my space. I spent almost a third of my life in that building, in that space. Just to the left is a large room which is currently not used, but is probably going to become the sheriff's dispatch office. On the second floor, as you come off the elevator here now, there's a wall with a window, and that is the county attorney's office. That space, if you look in the window, you can see a wall that runs parallel to Winter Street. All that space, that wall was not there, and all of that space was the main entry and waiting room for the courtrooms that were on the second floor of that building, the 1978 building. The entire second floor is down, and both courtrooms has been opened up so that there's passage between both, and the judges' chambers are still there but used as county attorney offices. So that whole space is now county attorney. What else do you need to know about this building? It's very historic. I mean, this has been part of our community life since 1858. Actually, 1859 it opened. So we're occupying space that has a great meaning for Cheshire County. When the courts moved in 2014, I think it was October of last year, that the new building opened for the combined courts, for the probate court, marital court, superior court, and district court, now called circuit court. This space became available to us again. The county has always owned this building, both of them, since they were built. So the issue came up, what did we want to do with it? We had some agencies that were out in private rental spaces in the community. we brought them in. They are actually now on the second floor, 33 West Street, where the county offices used to be. And we brought them into this structure so that now all of the county functions, except for Westmoreland, are centrally located. I don't know if anybody would have any questions about what county government does, but many people have no idea what we do. Anybody want me to talk about that for a minute? County government is, my philosophy about county government is this, and I'm the chair of the board, is that the county government exists for the purposes of, number one, fulfilling tasks that are mandated by state law, and number two, assisting towns to do things that they cannot do themselves. We are mandated to operate a jail. That is required of us, it's not optional. So a couple of years ago, we replaced a jail that was built for 47 and was housing 120 people. We were under threat of lawsuit from the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union and the national organizations because of the overcrowding. We built a jail that had sufficient capacity so that it would not have to be built every 5 years. So that we looked forward to what we anticipated growth in our population. In the process of doing that, we realized that we would have space that we did not immediately need. We made a contract with the federal government to house federal prisoners. These are all short-term. They're here 30, 60, 90 days at the most. And the federal government pays us $105 per day for each inmate. Right now, the last number I heard was 44. It's been as high as 46. So if you multiply those numbers out, the county is now using that space that we built in anticipation of future growth of population in order to bring in over $1 million a year to offset taxes. It seems a pretty wise thing to do. We also are not mandated to have a nursing home, but this county has long chosen to have that sort of a facility since actually the 19th century. In the 19th century, early 19th century, people were literally rented off into slavery. The poor were. If somebody was poor and unable to support themselves, the town took control of them, and the towns were responsible for providing their support. And in, I think, the 1860s or thereabouts, they built the county farm, get them out of town, get them out of sight, and put them to work. So instead of paying people to take these people before the county farm was built, they would take the poor and sort of auction them off to the highest bidder in town. If you had a house and you had a farm and you needed some help, you'd bid on them and you'd get their labor for a year, for a period of time, or unless they went away because they couldn't work elsewhere. So it was sort of a form of slavery. And by the end of the Civil War era, it was pretty much acknowledged that that really wasn't quite right, because we just eliminated slavery in the South, and here we were doing something very much similar. So they established the county farm, which gave them a home, and their obligation was to work on the farm and do other tasks within the county farm, county home. But then again, from 1860, roughly the 1960s, people began to think that that's not quite right either, because you put them up there and you're forcing them to work up there, and you're taking them out of society, and they don't have a chance to establish their own lives again. By the 50s and 60s, things were changing. People took a different look at nursing homes, and it was decided that a lot of the private nursing homes, which were maybe a husband and wife taking in half a dozen different people and caring for them, that those weren't quite right. The conditions in a lot of them were not up to par. And there was a national movement to change the nature of nursing care. That led to a change in Cheshire County. In Cheshire County and across the nation, about the late 60s and early mid-70s, it was decided that the best format for caring for the elderly was in a more hospitalized setting. And that is when present Maplewood was built. And we continue to care for people in that facility. Actually, I was just reading the Sentinel's Best of bulletin the other day. And although a private nursing home assisted living facility was voted best, second place was assisted living at Maplewood. So we do a pretty good job up there. I mean, we've been going through this what to do about the problems with Maplewood issue for the last 4 or 5 years, but the whole crux of the issue is that Maplewood does a splendid job given the nature of the facility, and that there's, I believe, a general consensus that we continue doing Maplewood. What else does the county do? If you want a piece of property, over there at the bottom of the first floor of that building is the Registry of Deeds, which is the record of land holdings in this county for since the beginning of the county in the late 1760s. So every deed to land in Cheshire County that's ever been written is cared for in there, and we've done a lot of work recently to make sure that that's continually updated and that we have the greatest possible service to people in the county commission, in the county. You heard in the paper recently that heroin is a major problem in Cheshire County. The county has recognized for probably 15, 20 years that drugs and alcohol abuse are major issues. The county has an active program in the Superior Court called the Drug Court, which seeks to bring people out, seek out people who are involved in the criminal justice system who are savable, and that has been very successful. There are currently about 25 to 27 people enrolled in the program. It takes at least a year for them to get out. But also at the district court level or circuit court level, we have a behavioral health court comprised of 2 parts. One is a mental health court, and the other one is, again, a drug program. The drug program has been very successful, and we believe helps in reducing recidivism of the rate with which people reoffend. The mental health court also helps reduce recidivism, but it also provides a route to a more sane and rational life for people who are involved in the justice system. We have a grants department, which I was instrumental in getting started, and which Roger Servant was also involved in getting started probably 5 or 6 years ago. We recognized the fact that there were a lot of opportunities for grants that would allow us to do things for ourselves, for the county, without increasing tax burden on the citizens, and also to help towns and other organizations in Cheshire County to achieve things that they wanted to achieve. To date, I think, since inception of the program, we have brought in somewheres around $6 million of assistance through grants, which have helped not only the county, but have helped the towns in such things as radio contact. We now dispatch Sheriff's Department. We dispatch all of the police departments in Cheshire County except for the city of Keene. The importance of that is that during the nighttime, the weekends, there is constant contact. Before the sheriff's dispatch system, an officer on patrol in Gilsum or in Rindge or Fitzwilliam or Halstead was on his own. At night, if there was nobody in his police station to listen to his radio calls, he was alone. Now, there is an ability not only to respond to a need by a police officer out at night, but if there's an emergency, we can immediately call in people from other areas to augment. So there's a great deal more security. I think if the present state budget happens and there's a cut in state police presence in Cheshire County, that will help. The sheriff's dispatch will help to protect towns, particularly like towns like Westmoreland, which has no police department at all. So I've got through what's a county do. I'll take you on the rest of the tour of the building.
So that was such a magnificent building. It was gone, they thought, before I came to Keene, but this was the old Keene High School and then junior high. It sits on what was the parking lot out here beyond the courthouse, and is now, moved this way, is now the courthouse for all of the courts in Keene. This little building sits roughly where this old building ends and where the 1911 addition starts. And so this building here is just out of the picture here.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about this one, but this is roughly where that building was. And this building sits here. In 1978, the issue was what to do about the courthouse, because this was all there was there. There was one courtroom and a whole bunch of county functions in this building. And the decision was made to build a new Superior Court building here, which left this space here open. Once this opened, this was divided in half, and there were two courtrooms. And back here was some judges' space. But these courtrooms, actually having operated in there for 20 some odd years, they were built too small. One of the courtrooms would have been adequately sized if there were another courtroom that was larger for big cases. But when we had major cases, like you remember the case of Margie Lage, who killed her husband at Swansea, we couldn't let the press in. We couldn't let the press in for jury selection, which is a major civil rights violation. And I had a major fight with the Sentinel over that one, and finally I said, look, we're doing jury selection, you want to be in there. I had Tom Carney and a couple of other leaders from the Sentinel come in, and we went up the back way into what used to be the clerk's office. And I had installed CCTV so we could keep track of what was happening in the courtrooms, and the bailiffs in the back of the room, courthouse could be aware of what was going on in the courtrooms. But I said, look at there. No. And it was absolutely jammed with people, prospective jurors. I mean, and I said, no. You agree that I have to maintain a separation between your people and the jury? Yes. Where am I going to put them? So I won that battle. But that was a major, major issue.
Could you say something about how people are called for juries? I'm 70 years old and I've wanted to serve on a jury and I have never, ever been called. Somebody told me it was because I had a medical background, and I thought, no, that doesn't.
No, it's totally random. You remember a guy who ran Clark Distributors, I think his name was Richard Clark. Dick Clark came into me one day, he was irate. It was like in 2 years he got called 4 times. And he claimed that we were specifically picking on him. And I said, no, come on, this is the way we do it. And I took him through and ran him through the system. Originally, when I first became clerk, we had a certain way of doing things, but it later came down to a program run by the state that's totally run on computers, totally random. Has to do with license plates and voter registration. It's a combination list. And what we used to do was pick the number of jurors, decide on the number of jurors we needed to have, and then divide that into our list, which was all registered voters. And that gave me an interval number. And what I would say was to one of my staff, give me a number between 1 and 150. They'd say, 99. So we'd start with number 99, and so on, all the way down through the list.
So I'm not being picked on.
I was
By
gonna say,
not being
in
chosen.
Philadelphia, I had registered to vote. 3 weeks later, I called for
My
jury
daughter,
duty.
my daughter has been 5 times
I've been
already.
called once.
I've never been called either.
So it's
Interesting.
purely random. As I say, behind this space was the original judge's chamber, which is now data space and a small office for the clerks. If you want to follow me along. It's served various functions over a period of time. This here is the end of the 1858 building. You can tell by the thickness of the panel here. So this space here was actually part of the judge's chamber. Back here, there were 2 rooms. And you can see right there, some crack in the wall up there. That marks the point at which the entry door was. This was the jury deliberation room from 1911 forward. The old jury deliberation rooms were in the attic space of the old building, and there was a stairway that went up to them. It was old, decrepit, and it was a blessing for the jury when they moved it down here.
Made for quick deliberations.
Yeah.
Yeah, up there with the pigeons.
Yeah. There's another tale about that. Do you know what a sequestered jury is? A sequestered jury is when there's a case so important they're afraid that people are going to go home and talk about it, so they keep them together. We don't do it anymore much. I had the last sequestered trial in this court, oh God, sometime before I retired, so I don't think they've done one since, and I don't think anybody's doing them now. But the original, when there was a jury deliberating down here, and the judge was afraid they were taking too much time. I have been told, now I haven't got any proof of this, but I have been told that the judge might say to the sheriff, why don't you go upstairs and rattle the beds? Because they had metal frame, you know, the old collapsible metal frame beds, and they kept them in a room right over this space. And so if the jury heard the beds being set up, it sometimes sped up their decision.